Greetings and welcome to this excellent program that is executive course on ECOSOC, United Nations ECOSOC education, which will do hold every quarter for those that have indicated interest to um, walk along the United Nations agenda. And then we'll call it the United Nations Economic and Social Council, that is ECOSOC, which functions as the UN central platform for shaping global development, coordinating humanitarian actions, and guiding international corporations. The ECOSOC is one of the six principal organs of the United Nations. And as a principal organ, ECOSOC provides the policy engine, dialogue platform, and coordination hub, through which nations address the world's most urgent economic, social, and environmental challenges. ECOSOC work span in four domain areas: the global policy dialogue, which is convening government experts and civil society to build consensus on global priorities. We also have sustainable development, which oversees the implementation and review of the 2030 Agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals. And we have the humanitarian coordination, which guides international responses to crisis, disaster, and emergencies. There is also the social and economic governance, which shapes policy that promote dignity, equality, and human well-being. So for us today who are aspiring to get involved into the UN, our role, our mission today is to learn about the United Nations Economic and Social Council and the working of the United Nations through the ECOSOC and how we can be comfortable in being part of the United Nations. So these are the main agenda for this training. And we want to appreciate you for declaring your interest to acclimatize yourself with the Global Affairs Secretariat. I call United Nations as the Affairs Secretariat. And if not that you indicated interest to be to get involved, we will not be here. So that is why I appreciate you, and I want to believe that the training from the resource persons, the person of Her Excellency, Ambassador Dr. Kinoli, Diane Kinoli, sorry, who is who serves as the United Nations Ambassador of World of Life Ministries International, who is a peace ambassador and which is accredited to United Nations under the Economic and Social Council. Ambassador Kinoli has been a resource person, executive education, and has been involved with Maxwell leadership training. And he's a UN Peace Ambassador within the International Consulting Cabinet, ICC. And in September 2020, she was welcomed by the Center for SDG Global Education as a Global Vice President for Leadership and Youth Education and served as Director for Leadership and Strategy at Youth Gather Global Initiative, engaging youth for the global action within the four corners of the United Nations. Her area of focus is global leadership strategy, working with current and emerging leaders to customize and engage influence transformation in their leadership experiences across the 9 streams of influence. These are the pillars of influence found in every society and global leadership structure, including government, education, health, business, faith, arts and culture, sports, family, and media. She's also an executive director with the John Maxwell team and serves on East President's Advisory Council, where she is committee chair for standards and protocol. I have no other reason to waste your time than to bring in Her Excellency Ambassador Dr. Diana Kinole to take the floor.
Good morning and welcome. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Honorable Ambassador Ada, for that wonderful introduction. And over our time together today, we are going to build a working understanding of the United Nations Economic and Social Council, ECOSOC, that you can carry into your work this week. And so as I get set up here to get the co-host abilities to be able to share my PowerPoint, I just want to ask, I'm going to send out some preempts and let's engage in the chat. So we're going to have an interactive session. There'll be a lot of acronyms mentioned, but in your workbook, we have tried to provide you a breakdown of what those acronyms mean. And so just in the chat, just to gauge where everybody is, I'm going to make a comment and you respond in the chat with true or false. So the first thing I want to say is ECOSOC makes binding law. Is that true or false?
True.
Who said true? Who said true? Awesome, awesome. I'm seeing in the chat we have a lot of false. We had one true.
Yes, you have to see a lot of fault because they don't know yet.
Okay. So,
Yes.
ECOSOC adopts resolutions and declarations, which are politically agreed reference text, not law. And the binding instrument in the United Nations family is a treaty signed and ratified by nations. So ECOSOC is consensus authority, not legislative authority. So well done on that response. We just check that we're ready to go here. So the second one that I want to say or to ask, what does the acronym HLPF stand for? HLPF.
High level political forum.
Awesome. Awesome, awesome. How are we doing? Do I have co-host ability yet?
Oh, yes, a minute.
Okay. So in your workbooks, use them as you please, write, make notes, especially write questions so that we can
Sorry, give me a
engage.
minute to send the workbook to them.
Okay,
Yes. If you still have access to your email, please, I'm sending the workbook to the group email.
awesome. Thank you so much. So we've designed the workbook to match alongside the presentation. Please make notes of your questions so that when we get to the Q&A session, we are able to go over those. We're going to have an interactive session. We're going to review a case for you and have you engage in what that experience looks like at an ECOSOC session. So I want to go ahead here and let's. Can everyone hear me clearly? Just want to make sure.
Yes.
Yes, perfect. Okay, everybody can see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so today we're here to talk about the United Nations ECOSOC, Economic Social Council. We're going to be looking at three verbs here: policy, governance, and practice, education. And we're going to walk through this over maybe 90 minutes and engage in a Q&A session. And we're going to start by looking at 5 principles that will hold our time here together. By the end of this session, you will be the rare person who can not just have a memorized list, but have a framework you can apply from a diplomatic model. The second thing you're going to be able to do is understand every ECOSOC body explained from 5 principles. That's what we call derivation. And then we're going to explore what foresight looks like. What does 2030 and 2035 demand of you as a leader and your engagement, your participation as we move forward? So 5 principles will hold this session together. Number one, peace alone is not enough. So we're going to look at peace and development and how they are inseparable. We've put references there. You can explore this a little more using the UN Charter Article 55. And so in 1945, the founders saw that wars are seeded in poverty, and the charter ties stability and well-being to peace. ECOSOC is the development lung of the United Nations. The second principle we're going to look at is no country solves a global problem alone. ECOSOC is a coordinator, not a commander. And why? Because climate, pandemics, financial shocks, and forced migration cross every border. And ECOSOC's authority comes not from compulsion, but from the room it builds, states, agencies, civil society, and finance under one mandate. A concrete example, ECOSOC convenes 14 specialized agencies, 5 regional commissions, and 9 functional commissions in a single coordinating cycle each year. So look at ECOSOC as a convening power. The third principle of 5 is that knowledge must travel ground up. And this is where we understand that civil society has a designed seat at the table. What does that mean? For example, a diplomat in New York cannot know what a farmer in northern Cameroon needs unless someone tells them. And so ECOSOC is the only principal organ with a formal pathway for civil society through the NGO branch and consultative status. So step one, you have the local actors, NGOs, communities, frontline practitioners. Step two, you have the NGO branch, the consultative review under Resolution 1996/31. And step three, you have the ECOSOC chamber, statements, side events, policy influence. So over 6,000 NGOs hold consultative status with right to attend meetings, submit written statements, and deliver oral interventions. And 405 is that promises without follow-up are wishes. What does this mean? It means that the 2030 agenda is reviewable by design. In 2015, every member state signed onto 17 goals and 169 targets. And the high-level political forum, known as HLPF, and voluntary national reviews, VNRs, convert those promises into a shared review cycle surfaced and which is reviewed every year. Example, by July 2025, more than 380 voluntary national reviews had been presented at the high-level political forum since 2016, making national progress publicly comparable. And in this, we're looking at an accountability cycle. So it begins with the high-level political forum review, the VNRs with national reporting, the finance for development for financing, and then we have the science, technology, and innovation, which provides us evidence from science. So, and the fifth one, money is the ultimate goal or is the ultimate signal of priority. So I want you to hold these 5 priorities in your mind for now. We're going to come back to them. So in Principle 5, money being the ultimate signal of priority, financing closes or exposes the gap. So the annual SDG financing gap is currently $4 trillion, and the severe commitment is the framework to close it. This was adopted in July of 2025, so just about 10 months ago at the FFD4, where the severe commitment is the operational framework to mobilize public, private, and innovative finance against the 4 trillion annual SDG financing gap, right? And what the severe commitment did is it introduces the Borrowers Forum, sovereign debt swap acceleration, and reformed development bank lending instruments. And so, was that a lot? Let's take a pause here for a moment and let's see where we are. Is it beginning to flow for you a little bit? Yes? Awesome, awesome. Thank you. Thank you for the thumbs up. Thank you for the thumbs up. So, this course is titled Policy, Governance, and Practice. 3 verbs, 1 system, right? I want you to hold those as what we call the literal spine, because ECOSOC develops policy through a 4-stage cycle. What does that mean? Number 1, it listens. So if you're taking notes, it listens, it negotiates, it adopts, and it transmits. ECOSOC establishes governance through 3 moves, right? The 5 subsidiary families, the accountability lines that run up to the General Assembly, and the civil society oversight that runs through Resolution 1996/31, with over 6,000 NGOs hold governance to account. And then ECOSOC asks each of you, from a practice point of view, to embed both policy and governance into your practice. What does that mean? It is important to cite the right body, right? So being specific is synonymous with credibility. Then you want to sequence the right mechanism, right? Order matters as much as choice. And then time to the right cycle. The calendar awareness is your leverage, right? And then you want to route through the right entry point. This is important because if you don't go through the right sequence that has been laid out, that can delay whatever application you have submitted to them, right? And right now, the working timelines that we have are 18 months. I think it is 18 months currently. So the reason this matters now is that the most common error that most make with ECOSOC is to learn the architecture of it without learning these 3 verbs. So you end up knowing what the Commission on the Status of Women is, but not how to use it. So by the end of our time here together, you will have both the bodies and the verbs that move them. Okay, so 3 verbs, 1 system: policy, governance, practice. So in the chat, what are the 3 verbs? Let's see how we're doing as far as listening. What are the 3 verbs in the chat? The 3 verbs. Awesome. And then let's go back a little bit. I mentioned the process of how ECOSOC develops policy? There were four things. Can we remind ourselves, how does ECOSOC develop policy? How does ECOSOC develop policy? It goes through a four-stage cycle.
It's tough for me to type on my phone, but it's analysis, negotiation, resolution, and operational guidance.
Okay, so number one, it listens.
Negotiate, adopt, translate.
Number two, it negotiates. Number three, it adopts. And four, it transmits.
Translate.
Okay, this is important because you will need to use this in the case example that we're going to go through. So awesome. Very, very, very good. So let's get back to our session. So, three verbs, one system. This is the spine that holds ECOSOC together. So let's just do a review, a quick break in here. So we've moved from principles to architecture is where we are right now. We had the opening. We've gone through the 5 principles, and we have also looked at the 3 verbs and 1 system. We're going to go into the architecture in one diagram. And then coming up next, we'll look at what happens at 2030 and 2035. Then we'll have a Q&A, and then we're going to close and call it an amazing Saturday well spent. So here is what ECOSOC looks like in one diagram. The UN has 6 principal organs. Most people can name 2. The General Assembly and the Security Council, right? ECOSOC is the 3rd. You must know it is the central platform for economic, social, and environmental issues, and it is the only organ whose entire job is to coordinate. Right? So in one word in the chat, what does the Security Council do that ECOSOC does not? What does the Security Council do that ECOSOC does not? How are we engaging in the chat? What does ECOSOC do that? Okay, so ECOSOC is as we mentioned, is the convening or the coordinating body, right? And what we want to land here is that the Security Council uses force, ECOSOC uses convening. Okay? The Security Council uses force, ECOSOC uses convening. And so here we have functional commissions, we have regional commissions, we have forums, we have expert bodies. Functional commissions are the deep dive policy bodies. Regional commissions are geographic coordination. Forums are multi-stakeholder platforms. The expert bodies are specialized advisory groups. And then at the center, we have the NGO branch for this, which is the civil society gateway, right? And this is where we have the consultative status under ECOSOC resolution 1996/31. Okay, so under Articles 61 through 72 of the UN Charter, ECOSOC has 54 member nations elected for up to 3-year terms. And below them sit functional commissions, regional commissions, and expert bodies. Two examples are enough today. We have under the Functional Commission, we have the CSW, which is the Commission on the Status of Women, which deals with global and thematic aspects. And then we have the Economic Commission for Africa under the regional commissions, which is geographic coordination. So regional and geographic. And then everything else follows that pattern. And now we want to, so what is a good bridge connection for us here? Right? We want to go back to the three verbs. Remember that governance is the verb for this slide here, for ECOSOC in one diagram. So we looked at policy. The second one is governance, right? Governance is the verb when we're looking at ECOSOC in one diagram. And this governance is what makes policy traceable. So we have 5 families of bodies. We have accountability lines that run up to the General Assembly and civil society oversight through Resolution 1996/31. Okay. Now, we're going to look at how promises become reviewable progress. This is what we call the 4-pillar frame. Very important to note. If there's nothing else that you remember from our session today, this is the most important slide, right? So, ECOSOC is the home of the SDG follow-up architecture. So 4 mechanisms do the work. The high-level political forum does the annual review. In here, we have it as HLPF, high-level political forum, does the annual review of the 2030 agenda. The second one we have is the voluntary national reviews, right? These are self-reported national progress. We're looking at country-level reporting. The third is the Financing for Development Forum. And this is what is closing the resource gap. And we're looking here at money. Then we have the Science, Technology, and Innovation Forum. And this is where knowledge inputs to policy. We're looking for evidence. So the 4 pillars: high-level political forum, voluntary national reviews, VNRs, financing for development, FFD, and Science and Technology and Innovation Forum, STI. So something to note here is that currently 80% of SDG targets are off track. And this is precisely why the accountability cycle matters. Only an architecture designed to surface failure can drive correction. This is one of the outcomes from the SDG report from 2025, right? And why this reviewable progress is important. So in the high-level political forum in 2025, it convened in New York in July with thematic focus on advancing sustainable and inclusive solutions, right? One of the reviews from the VNRs was the most recent batch of presenting nations included a mix of developed and developing countries. When we're looking at the FFD and the severe commitment, which was adopted in 2025, the headline financing outcome of the 4th FFD conference, right? And then when we look at the STI forum in 2025, it was themed around bridging frontier knowledge and policy for global progress. So what is really important here and what we are sharpening is that the 2025 SDG report shows roughly 17% of targets are on track. That makes this architecture more important, not less. So if the goals are not going to be met, right? The follow-up apparatus is the only thing between aspiration and abandonment. So if you remember nothing else from this session today, remember these 4 pillars: the high-level political forum, HLPF, the voluntary national reviews, VNRs, financing for development, FFD, and science, technology, and innovation forum, STI. Okay. Now, when we look at how the promises become reviewable, day-to-day ECOSOC harmonizes. So the work is to bring about harmony. Is it always successful? Yes and no. So what does that look like? So harmony looks like the World Health Organization provides guidance on pandemic preparedness. Then we have the ILO, the International Labor Organization, flows on social protection. And then we have the UNFCCC, which is the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. And these cannot contradict one another when they reach a national Ministry of Finance. ECOSOC is the seam finder. ECOSOC provides the blend between them. ECOSOC finds the harmony between them. So the NGO branch, so let's go back to the slide. The NGO branch administers consultative review, yes, under ECOSOC Resolution 1996/31. So 3 categories here. You want to write these down. You either have general, special, and roster. So this civil society gateway, or the civil society, is not just an onlooker. And under Resolution 1996/31, it is a recognized contributor. What does that mean? That they are very active in policies that are being done. They participate, they make contributions, they attend meetings, they lend their voice so that whenever nations want to engage with what is going on as far as policy, governance, and practice, they go to the NGO branch. The NGO branch is more or less the heartbeat. It is the place where nations come to say, hey, what can you tell us about this? Could you provide us with more explanation about what is going on here or how we can be part of this? So the NGO branch is very important, right? Because they can attend sessions, they can submit proposals, and they can also speak. Their voices are very important in this work. Now, I want to be candid about the NGO Committee's 2025 regular session, which continued amid calls for reform, right? About how the consultative status is granted and reviewed. And the system works and it is actively being improved. I'm going to stop the share here and see what's going on in the chat for a moment. So keep your questions so that we can go over them during the Q&A session. I see Mrs. Marva has a question. Does the ECOSOC branch evaluate priorities? We're going to look at that. So keep your questions. We will come back to them at the end of the session. So let us carry on here. So we've reviewed this a little bit more, a little bit deeper, and we looked at how the SDG cycle, high-level political forum, voluntary national reviews, financing for development forum, science, technology, and innovation, STI forum. Okay. And the next thing that we want to look at is by 2030, what changes, right? What changes by 2030? Of course, the 2030 agenda expires. What can we expect? Negotiation of a successor framework to become a priority in the lead up to 2030, right? The post-2030 conversation defines the next decade, and so we'll begin to hear about 2040. What else happens by 2030? We're going to look at the beyond GDP indicators, possibly a pact for the future high-level expert group reports to the General Assembly. And this expectation was by end of 2025. What changes by 2030? The severe implementation. So the Borrowers Forum, debt swaps, sovereign restructuring, the test of whether the financing gap narrows. The NGO branch reform, as I mentioned before, this is a conversation that is ongoing, and there are improvements that are being made. And then we have the Climate Development Convergence, ECOSOC, and the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC. Linkages will become tighter, and the climate finance enters the FFD framework more directly. By 2035, we're looking at a deeper shift. We're looking at a successor framework operational, fewer goals, sharper targets, integrated climate development matrix, future generation clauses. AI and digital governance becomes central to this work. Global Digital Compact flows through the STI Forum and the High Level Political Forum. ECOSOC inherits oversight on that. We'll also see reframed financial architecture, greater developing country voice in IFIs, MDB expansion, sovereign debt restructuring, and possible global minimum tax on HNWIs. We're also going to see the civil society engagement digital first, hybrid participation, AI-assisted briefs, possibly tiered consultative status. We'll also see foresight institutionalized. UN Future Lab model becomes permanent. ECOSOC operates on 10 to 15-year horizons by default. And now we're going to take a case study. Before we do that, let's take a pause and reset the room a little bit. Was that a lot? Related to maintaining it. Let's see in the chat. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into this case study. Okay. So a coastal member state after a missed climate resilience target. So just going back to what we've done before, let's see how we can incorporate what we have learned so far. So it is May 2026. A small island developing state has just published its third voluntary national review, presented at the High Level Political Forum the previous July of 2025. The VNR shows that the country has missed its 2025 climate resilience target by a wide margin, in part because adaptation finance promised under the Paris Agreement has not arrived at the scale or speed required. A coalition of national civil society organizations holding ECOSOC consultative status, 2 with general, 3 with special, 4 on the roster, has asked you as the country's incoming permanent representative to surface the financing gap on the multilateral state in the next 90 days. Your task is to pick 2 ECOSOC mechanisms and decide what you would ask each one to do in the next 90 days. So a quick question. Does everybody have a copy of the workbook now?
It's not open. It's blocked.
It is blocked.
Yes.
What happened?
Um,
Why?
Mine works fine. I have it on my phone.
I have it.
Okay.
It says the attachment on this message has been blocked for your safety.
No, no, no.
That's-
Let me resend it again
Okay.
because it's on PDF.
That looks like it's been blocked by his email or his company. It's not something that you can do, but it's something that he has to be able
It's
to.
opening on my computer, so I don't know why.
Right, it's something on his local computer that's blocking it.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah.
sent
I am
on
unblocking
PDF.
it. Yeah.
I can share it on the screen if you want, Ambassador.
I have it here. So we'll
Okay, you can
just
share it on the screen.
He's all set now. He's unblocking it, he said.
Okay.
No. I am unable again.
Okay.
Oh, you're unable to. Okay.
So
Yeah.
so
Please send it again, otherwise. Yeah.
Okay, let me resend it.
Okay, so is everybody clear on what the task is and what we're looking at here? So we're going to take 5 minutes and you're going to pick 2 ECOSOC mechanisms and decide what you would ask each one to do in the next 90 days. And then we're going to hear from you in what we are calling a plenary debrief, which is what would usually happen when we're in session at the United Nations. You're going to use the 3 verbs as your guide. Which mechanism listens, which negotiates, which adopts, which transmits, right? So I'm going to go to that slide for everybody. So we have policy, governance, practice. I think that's in your workbook. And then we will go to the slide that has ECOSOC in 1 diagram.
Can you see if you can download it right now?
And just for your benefit, the 3 verbs are on page 10 of your workbook. ECOSOC in 1 diagram is on page 11. So I'm going to keep up the case study for viewing purposes. So we have 3 minutes remaining. You have 1 minute left. Okay, that is time. So let's hear from a few of you. Which 2 mechanisms did you select, and decide what you would ask each one to do in the next 90 days. So who wants to go first?
I would pick the high-level political forum
Okay.
and the financing for development.
Okay.
And in the next 90 days would be, my notes were, let me bring that back. Okay. Yeah, so I'm trying to, so one thing that tripped me up was that the three verbs that you used, which were negotiates, adopts, and transmits wasn't actually in the documentation, so that took me a second to identify that as really operational guidance. Is that the same thing? The operational guidance piece, is that transmits before I continue?
So the three verbs are policy, governance, and practice.
Right.
And what we had talked about was what is the process. So how does it listen? How does it negotiate? How does it adopt? And how does it transmit?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, understood. Then let me re-look at that part again.
Okay.
All right.
But you said you selected the high-level political forum and?
The FTD, the
F.
financing for development.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you for that share. And where does civil society enter in your example?
I probably need a little more time to review that part.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your
Not
contribution,
bad.
Mr.
Thank
Clark.
you.
Well done. I see Mr. Jonathan Cummings has you have your hand raised.
Yeah,
Go ahead
so
and
I
share.
can go.
Yes.
So, since I'm the permanent representative, I'll work with my team on developing a policy document which highlights the implications of the lapse in financing. And then I'll work with civil society organizations and doing a convening on a high-level political forum. So probably the financing for the SDGs or the high-level political forum on sustainable development, where you present the case to the general public. There'll be diplomats there, so and negotiation will be there. Since it's about financing, I think the push would be to try to get private sector organizations to be more aware of the lapse in financing and here to implement the implications. And NGOs can be the advocacy groups to push everyone. That makes sense.
Okay. Okay. This is good for listening to this information new. Let's go ahead and listen to, thank you so much for your contribution. Let's go ahead, Mrs. Marva Baylor.
Hello, I would listen, and for my 90-day plan, I would offer an analysis, and I would want to convene two geographic locations that are similar to the small island. So I'm thinking of ESCAP and ECLAC. As well as a special advisory group, the CEPA, because they have expertise in sustainable development. So I would focus on what they've been working on and why they're missing their targets before I would focus on the money aspect. And that's what I would do for the first 90 days.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that contribution. Is there anyone else? Because what we're going to do next is we're going to walk through a fully worked answer. Anyone else want to share? Do we have shares in the chat? Let's see. So Suk Sandhu says, I would ask for the FFD forum to issue a summary with specific follow-up actions. I would use the high-level political forum under ECOSOC to bring political visibility to the missed climate resilience target, linking it to SDGs on climate action and resilience. Awesome. Then Ambassador Lori Brickman-Rich says, to be able to put together and submit for policy the finances needed. Okay, so let's go through what a fully worked answer looks like, right? You'll want to take some notes here. And so if I were the incoming permanent representative, I would pair two mechanisms, the Financing for Development Forum and the High-Level Political Forum. And at the first stage, I would listen, right? Which is listen. The VNR has already done the listening. Can everybody see that? The VNR has already done the listening. The data is on the record. So I would not commission new analysis. I would commission a side event that uses the analysis already there. Does that make sense for everybody?
Yes.
Yes, you're still displaying the mini case study slide though, correct? You're not displaying a
Yes.
new slide? Okay,
Yes,
just
yes,
wanted to make
yes.
sure, yes.
Because I want you to be able to see it in front of you, right? So you see
So,
there that, go
yeah, so
ahead.
the nuance you're saying is you're calling it a side event of the analysis, not new analysis. That's
Yes,
your,
because in the case, we already see that the VNR shows that the country has missed its 2025 climate resilience target by a wide margin, in part because of adaptation finance promised under the Paris Agreement has not arrived at the scale or speed required. Right? We've already seen at the second sentence or right at the beginning that they have just published their third VNR review and presented it at the high level political forum. Right? So listening has already been done. So the next thing would be to commission a side event that uses the analysis that is already there. The second stage would be to negotiate, right? The Finance for Development Forum is the right negotiating room because the case is about money, not text. So I would ask the FFD Forum to host a side event with the relevant regional development bank and one or two donor nations, scoped to a single deliverable, a concrete adaptation finance commitment timetable. Does that make sense? Or is that beginning to make sense? So we're using the listen, negotiate, adopt, transmit. So the first thing to ask is, has listening been done? And if it has been done, what has it provided? The second thing that you want to ask is, what negotiations have been done or have been planned for? So because this is about money that was promised under the Paris Agreement that has not arrived at the scale or speed required, then we are very clear that it's about money, it's not about text. So I would ask the FFD Forum to host a side event with a relevant regional development bank and one or two donor nations, scoped to a single deliverable, a concrete adaptation finance commitment timetable. So you want to come back and say, okay, we didn't get the money that we expected at the time, at the speed. Can we negotiate this? And can we create a commitment timetable? The third thing that you're going to do is you're going to adopt. So the high-level political forum is the right adaptation room because that is where ministerial declarations are signed. So I would push for the financing gap language to be reflected in the next high-level political forum declaration, even at one paragraph. One paragraph at the high-level political forum is a permanent reference point. And then finally, stage 4, transmit. The civil society coalition routes through the NGO branch a written statement under Resolution 1996/31, plus an oral intervention at the FFD Forum. The two together pass the issue from the negotiating room to the implementing system. Now, I went through that really fast. I'm going to go over it slowly again, and then I'm going to ask Her Excellency Honorable Ada if she has anything else to add. So in this case, the first thing we're going to do is look for listening. And one of the things we're highlighting here is that the VNR has already done the listening. The data is on record. So I would not commission new analysis. I would commission a side event that uses the analysis already there. And if you like, this is like a 10-month timeline, right? Because we're in May 2026. The high-level political forum was done July 2025. Stage 2, we're going to negotiate. And the FFD forum is the right negotiating room because the case is about money, not text. So I would ask the FFD forum to host a side event. So you want a side event with the relevant regional development bank and 1 or 2 donor nations. And the deliverable here is you want a concrete adaptation finance commitment timetable. Because what was previously promised did not arrive at the scale or speed required. Okay, stage 3, you're going to adopt. So the high-level political forum, the HLPF, is the right adaptation room because that is where ministerial declarations are signed. And whilst you're here, what you're going to push for is the financing gap language to be reflected in the next high-level political declaration, even if it's just one paragraph. Because one paragraph at the HLPF is a permanent reference point. Stage 4 is transmit. The civil society coalition routes through the NGO branch, right? So you want a written statement under Resolution 1996/31 plus an oral intervention at the FFD forum. And the two together pass the issue from the negotiating room to the implementing system. Now, why is this a really good way to approach this case? It's because it pairs an evidence already in hand mechanism, which is you have the HLPF, the High Level Political Forum, where the Voluntary National Review sits, with a money and deliverable mechanism, which is the FFD. It uses civil society's formal standing rather than wishing for it, and is scoped to a 90-day window with a concrete document outcome. And so this is what practice looks like. So we'll take a pause here and ask Her Excellency, Honorable Ada, you have anything to add?
Thank you, Ambassador. I think you are doing good on your segment, and I'll ask you conclude your segment if you feel so. I wouldn't want to ask so I don't contradict what you are doing with what I am going to do.
Okay. Okay, awesome. So just another maybe 7 minutes to conclude my segment, and then I'll hand over back to you.
Thank you.
Awesome. So real world applications. How does this go from knowledge to practice? We have 5 domains here where ECOSOC shapes outcomes. We have policy, development, diplomacy, NGO advocacy, and youth. So you have heard the architecture, you've heard the cycle and the case. Now, how does this translate into your domain? So in your workbook, there is one page for each of these. And so let's go ahead and land this and close out this section. So in the policy application, if your work touches national policy, including ministries, legislation, sectors, ECOSOC enters through a transmission chain. A resolution is adopted in New York. It is not binding law. It is politically authoritative. It is transmitted to permanent missions and from missions to line ministries where it becomes a national strategy, a sector plan, or a budget line. Some commitments are codified into law. So you will see things like SDG aligned national development plans are the most visible example. So 3 signals tell you the transmission worked. Your citation in your country's voluntary national review, convergence of national indicators against SDG targets, and budget lines are tagged against ECOSOC framework. So high-level political outcomes, high-level political forum outcomes, FFD commitments, and STI guidance. ECOSOC's authority is moral and political, but the policy footprint is measurable through citations, indicators, and budget tags. In development programming, if your work touches UN agency programming, country offices, joint programs, agency plans, ECOSOC enters through the operational layer. So the UN Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, the UNSDCF, is the country level compact between the UN and the host government. The resident coordinator translates ECOSOC priorities into joint work plans and every specialized agency's plan. So you have like UNDP, UNICEF, WHO, ILO, and FAO references high-level political forum outcomes explicitly. On the ground, that looks like 4 to 6 priority outcomes per country. VNR preparation driving data harmonization across ministries, and FFD outcomes shaping blended finance instruments, and STI forum recommendations feeding organizations like UNESCO and UNACTAD technology transfer programs. So programs do not start from a blank page. UNS DCFs and resident coordinators make ECOSOC guidance operational in every country. Then we have diplomacy and negotiation. So if your work touches diplomatic practice, which includes missions, delegations, negotiation rooms, ECOSOC is a venue, not an audience. So pre-session review of draft resolutions, brief capital, secure instructions, coordinate with your regional group. So that includes things like the G77, the EU, the JUSCANZ. In session, deliver statements, propose amendments, joint core sponsorship blocks, broker compromise language, post-session report back, identify follow-up commitments, position for the next cycle, and critically use high-level political forums, FFD, STI, and the functional commission as connected venues, never silos. And so where nations win here is bureau positions on functional commissions, agenda setting power, group chairmanships in G77 and the LDC group. So where voice is amplified through coalition, side events that set the informal agenda before formal text is tabled, and resolution course sponsorship that broadens the political base. Then we have NGO advocacy. So if your work touches civil society, advocacy organizations, foundations, research networks, ECOSOC is the only principal UN organ with a designed entry point. That door is Resolution 1996/31, and it opens in 3 tiers: general General, which is a broad mandate. Written statements up to 2,000 words can propose agenda items. Special is topical expertise, statements up to 1,500 words, speaking rights at relevant sessions, and roster with periodic occasional consultation, access on specific issues by invitation, and all three tiers attend public meetings, submit written statements, and organize side events on UN premises. The seasoned NGOs do four things. They coordinate joint work. Collective voice carries more weight than individual interventions. They provide evidence packs to friendly delegations before negotiations begin. And then they convene side events at high-level political forum, FFD and STI to set narrative around the formal text. And they participate in the major groups and other stakeholders mechanisms for high-level political forum. So ECOSOC is the only principal organ with a designed civil society entry point, and the door rewards preparation, not noise. And can I also add collaboration? Then we have the youth engagement. So if your work touches young people, as far as mentorship, educational institutions, early career pipelines, ECOSOC has four formal entry points: the ECOSOC Youth Forum, an annual convening of youth delegates whose outcomes feed into the high-level political forum; the Major Group for Children and Youth, MGCY, the official mechanism representing young people in high-level political forum, and SDG follow-up; and Model United Nations simulations, a globally distributed training pipeline that builds negotiation fluency before the real chamber; and youth delegate programs. Member nations nominate young people as part of their official General Assembly delegation. The outputs are not symbolic. Draft resolutions in Model UN exercises mirror real ECOSOC resolution structure. Negotiation amendments train coalition building, and the MGCY position statement is carried into high-level political forum and ministerial segments. Youth engagement is not symbolic because they participate in draft resolutions, amendments, and statements are the same tools diplomats use in the real chamber. And that brings me to the end of my segment. Thank you all for listening.
Excellent.
Thank you all for listening. I hope that the interaction was at least insightful and gave you some insight into what it looks like at the ECOSOC level. Your Excellency, I'm handing over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. That was wonderful presentation from, of course, I know this is what you know how to do best. So I wasn't mistaken to bring you to this platform. So we've all had her training. I don't know if there's anyone that has questions, concerns to give to her before I come in for the second segment. We still have 8 minutes. Yeah, any question? I see Marva hands up. Marva, can you come in?
Yes, my question is on the case study. It seems like we were entering into the case as an advocate, not as a challenger. And so I don't know if that's by design, since we were, our role was the permanent ambassador to that entity. And the reason why I'm asking that question in the context is, in the US in business, usually executives, we immediately challenge to, I guess, uncover ideas maybe someone might not have surfaced, or if things have changed because of time. But it seems like in this process that that would not be appropriate. So I just want to make sure I'm reading that protocol correctly.
Okay. That's one question. What she has given you is an overview of what the UN ECOSOC is all about. And as people in the business segment, civil society, faith-based organizations, and the private segments, is a wider script for you to know how to improve your resolution or your mission in order to align with the United Nations. So it can align it in your own definition as an advocate, as an educator, as a policy, as a resource for funding, and it depends on the mission of your organization. But what is very important is that you have an overview of what ECOSOC, a United Nations, is all about. And with that agenda, you'll be able to redefine what you are doing. Because what the UN wants to know, what are you doing in your organization that is aligned with the UN Charter? Do I make myself clear, Mara?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, any other person that has some concerns? Anyone else? If not, can someone summarize what Ambassador Diana Kinole had just said? Is there anyone that can give summary and conclude her section from one of the participants? I can see only few people on the screen. Where are the rest? We are 19 on this. We are 19 here. Someone need to sort of comment what she said, and we'll conclude this section, which is very important. You want me to call names? I know I have intelligent students on this platform today. Can someone comment her presentation, and we will close up her section? Okay, Dr. Arun, can you do that? Yes, I see you smiling. Unmute yourself and do that. Meanwhile, you need to change your phone to landscapes because we are only seeing TIVE. Yes, thank you. Unmute yourself. Thank you. Yeah, unmute yourself. Yes, unmute yourself.
For the sake of time, I can summarize from my notes.
Okay, my lord, go ahead.
Is that she really anchored everything around the three verbs: policy, governance, and practice, and that there are 5 first principles, and that peace and development are inseparable. ECOSOC is a coordinator, not a commander. Knowledge must travel ground up through civil society. Promises without follow-up or wishes, and that money is the ultimate signal of priority. And she walked us through the ECOSOC architecture, functional commissions, regional commissions, forums, expert bodies, and the NGO branch as civil society gateways. And then she talked about the 4 pillars for the SDGs and the HLPF, VNRs, FFD, and the STI forum. And so there's more in my notes, but that's, and then one of the key things was that She wanted us to make sure that we listened, negotiated, adopted, and then transmitted to convert evidence into adopted text and operational guidance.
Thank you. Excellent. That was fine. That's exactly the totality of the, is it 40 or 60 minutes presentation from Ambassador Diane? That's all. You just want to understand the working of yourself being a part of the ECOSOC, what you expected to do. Yes. Do we have any other one that has something to add?
I would just like,
Yes, Lauren,
I would
Ambassador.
just like to add that it was a good overview of how to approach conflict resolution.
Your voice was mumbling. What happened?
It was a good overview of conflict resolution, of how you would approach it according to the SDs and the different committees and committees.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The SDGs. She mentioned something on SDGs, which is the backbone of the 2030 agenda, which is what we are going to hear very soon. Now, any other person? Thank you, Ambassador Laurie. I know you've gotten home. We are all at Ambassador Foreign in Florida. Thank you. Yes. So, Dr. Aaron, are you able to say something? Well, I've just first mentioned you. Unmute yourself and say something. Yourself is not being unmuted. All right. Thank you so much, Ambassador Diane, for your time. I want to let you know that the workbook has been sent to your emails, and that will be a privilege for you to go through her presentation and be able to respond to those workbooks, because along the line in your journey within United Nations, you still need those content on the workbook. So it's very important you go back to the workbook and be able to respond to the content in your own understanding. And most importantly, use her presentation to redefine your own organization mission to align with the United Nations agenda. That is the beginning, so that any day you have the privilege to speak at the UN, you know what you are talking about. Thank you so much. So with this, I want to say thank you to Her Excellency Ambassador Dr. Diane Kinoli, who was able to make out her time to do this wonderful presentation. I appreciate your knowledge and intelligence, and the skills you use as an educator to be able to present this into interactive section. I'm going to be the next speaker, but I'm not going to do as she did. So it's very important that we acknowledge what she has done and be able to show her appreciation by raising flowers or balloons or something to ensure that you all appreciate her teaching, and you are even raising off your hands, that her teaching is well appreciated. So we thank you, Ambassador, for that wonderful presentation. Thank you. So with that, we end the first section. You know, this training is supposed to be 3.5 hours, and we've done less than 2 hours. So the next segment has to come from me. This executive education course aligns with the understanding, the objective of what we want to do to incoming diplomats, delegates into the United Nations to understand what really they want to know about the United Nations. So with that, I don't know what's happening with my mouse right now. Okay. So with this in mind, we will have to understand that the UN has a very important role to play in our lives as civil societies, as advocates, as policymakers, as grassroots implementers on the UN agenda. First of all, we all know that the United Nations is the largest and most universal international organization created to help countries work together. And on each country, we have civil societies, we have individuals, we have philanthropists, we have private sector, we have everybody. The fact remains that the understanding of our United Nations is that it is an international organization established to bring countries together across the world and to work together on global challenges. So it serves as a platform where all member states, whether they are billions of population or two population, it serves as a platform to the member states to come together to discuss issues, resolve conflicts, and cooperate for peace, development, and human rights. This is the definition of United Nations that was established in 1945. This year, United Nations is 80 years, and its birthday is October 24th every year. So the United Nations Global Organization of Sovereign States, addresses problems no single country can solve alone, such as war, climate change, humanitarian crisis, sustainable development. It also has become the foremost forum for international cooperation, bringing together the 193 member states. So this is what we are talking about. United Nations is an umbrella of 193 member states. So I don't know the states or the country you come from, but the fact remains that your country is among you can put on the chart the name of your country because it's very important for us to know where we come from. So as an individual, you have the mandate to be part of the United Nations. As a person, you have the authority to know what the United Nations is doing about you and your environment and your nations. So it is your authority to be part of United Nations. So the United Nations was founded with four foundational aims. One, they want to maintain the international peace and security. That is the founding major objective. That how do they maintain this? Through diplomacy, peacekeeping, and conflict resolution. They work to maintain the international peace and security. Another important mission is to protect human rights. So by setting global standard and monitoring abuses, the United Nations set human rights, and the Commission on Human Rights is headquartered in their office in Geneva. Another aim is to promote social and economic development. So through programs that reduce poverty, improve health, and support education, that is a major aim to work on social and economic development, promotion of social and economic development. And they can do it by working, creating initiatives, creating programs, creating awareness resolutions that can reduce poverty, that can improve human health, and also support education. So another point is that United Nations uphold international law. When they uphold international law, they provide legal frameworks and institutions like the International Court of Justice. So this is the four major aims of United Nations. And all these are centered around the interest, the welfare, and the well-being of humanity across the world. So the United Nations is the principal secretariat that houses these foundational aims. So today, what does the United Nations do? First of all, United Nations talk about changing climate change into action. Of course, we all know what is happening across the world, the global issues that has been confronting humanity. Is the assignment of United Nations to change the climate change into action. Another thing is humanitarian aid and disaster relief. We all know that United Nations have been up and doing in trying to support with humanitarian aid and disaster relief across the world. Where there is disaster, where there is hurricane, where there is hunger, communities where the United Nations stepped in, to be able to provide resolution and solution. Another thing is the gender equality and women empowerment. United Nations has stood up their rights, their stand on issues affecting women, girls, and children. And they have been talking about the gender equality and women empowerment. Of course, we talk about the public health. The United Nations Agency of World Health Organization has stood to concerns on the global health and well-being of every individual across the world. Example is, if you were in the media, how United Nations stood their stand in terms of Ebola and other vices. When it was HIV/AIDS, United Nations stood up, and today they still have the office of United Nations Office for HIV/AIDS. Again, we have the issue about the Sustainable Development Goals, which came up in 2015 as a drive to provide direction to the world agenda in trying to solve human needs and human concerns. This Sustainable Development Goal has 17 goals and 163 targets. And all these are included on human integrity. They revolve against one, the 5 Ps, which is people, planet, prosperity, peace, and partnership. The 5 Ps. Secondly, it revolves on the mandate of leave no one behind. So the Sustainable Development Goals is all inclusive, and they are working to ensure that nobody is left behind, that within the framework of 15 years, which is ending on 2030. The Sustainable Development Goals started in 2015 when the Millennium Development Goals came to an end. The Millennium Development Goals was enacted in 2000 for 15 years, and it took us from 2000 to 2015. So from that 2015, January 1, 2016, came up the Sustainable Development Goals. So another thing that there is the UN expanded its work to include support for development and peace across the world. development and peace across the world. And we want to inform you that the UN has 6 regions, and these regions work in terms of the UN work in terms of supporting each of these regions in terms of what they do, the issues in the regions, and the crises that confront them, and they seek to come up with resolutions that can provide solutions to these 6 regions. So why does the UN matter to me and you? The UN provides a neutral space where nations can negotiate, collaborate, and build consensus on global issues. The UN is the only organization with universal membership and a mandate broad enough to address interconnected global challenges. So that is why the UN exists. They exist because they want to negotiate for peace, negotiate for the betterment of humanity, negotiate for conflict-free zone and issues affecting humanity. They have to come together to agree on what to do. They negotiate and agree on what to do. They also come together to collaborate in terms of putting heads together, becoming one in decisions on the way forward to solve a particular issue. And also they build a global consensus on global issue. They build consensus on global issue. That what is agreed in Africa is agreed in Europe, US, Caribbean, Asia, and all those what were around the world. So the United Nations has existed in the past 70 years in order to understand this dimension of issues that affect the world. Now, United Nations has this uh, um, uh, uh, um, the core governance structure that carry out its functions. So one of them, I want to bring to you the 6 principal organs of United Nations. When we talk about, I just gave you information about United Nations as at a glance. So one of the principal organs that govern United Nations is the United Nations General Assembly, which is held every September, bringing in all the member state presidents, ministers of foreign affairs, or the 193 countries to United Nations headquarters, New York. I also want to let you know that United Nations is quartered in 3 regions. One is New York, the United States of America. The other one is Geneva, and the other one is in Vienna in Austria. So, and in September every year, the UN hosts the presidents and the ministers and the foreign affairs to the United Nations. So I also let you know that the United Nations, the principal board ministry that aligns with the work of United Nations is each country's Minister of Foreign Affairs. They work in hand with the presidency on diplomatic issues, policies, advocacies, and decisions of United Nations. So once ever a resolution is taken at United Nations, it is brought to the Minister for Foreign Affairs, who takes it on with the presidents and to adequate direction and proper actualization of those policies. So the General Assembly discusses global issues, they set policies, provides budget, and elect members to other UN bodies. You heard Dr. Diane mention ton of financing. It is the General Assembly that takes the responsibility about the UN budget. You know, how much the UN will have, where to get money to the UN, what the money is going to be used for is at the principal body of the UN General Assembly. And to do this, the UN has 6 committees. One of the committees is financing The other one is humanitarian, and I'll give you more about that. There are 6 committees, but let me finish the organs first. The Security Council is the next organ of the United Nations. And this security, just as the General Assembly has 193 member states, the Security Council has 15 members. 5 of these 15 members are permanent members. You don't change them. These permanent members are China, France, Russia, UK, and USA. They are permanent members. Their seat is always permanent, and they are not elected. And then we have the 10 elected for 2-year term. You can come from any member state, totaling 15. So the UN member Security Council has 15 seats. 5 are permanent seats. No matter how long it stays, these countries are permanent on that seat. So, and what do? They can impose sanctions, authorize peacekeeping mission, and approve the use of force. It is this Security Council. And its decisions are binding on all UN member states. Remember, the UN member states 193, but in Security Council, there are 15. So whatever decision they take is binding to these 193 states. Now, the third organ is the ECOSOC, which is the Economic and Social Council. And this is the central platform for economic, social, and environmental policy. So this particular organ coordinates the work of United Nations agencies. They coordinate the work of World Health Organization, UNESCO, the UN Women, the UNICEF, the FAO, and the everything, the NGO, and they coordinate them at this ECOSOC. And this ECOSOC has 54 members, and they are elected every 3 terms. So what is their principal role? Their principal role is that they oversee the global development agenda, including the SDGs. And I hope you know that SDGs are sustainable development goals. So the 4th organ is the International Court of Justice, which is ICJ. This is the principal judicial organ of the United Nations, and it is located in Hague in Netherlands. You talk about the International Criminal Court. That is the International Court of Justice. So whatever decision that was not taken at your country level is brought to the International Criminal Court. And that is where the final decision is taken. So this settles legal disputes between states and gives advisory opinion on international law. Then the next organ is the United Nations Administrative Arm, which is the Secretariat. The Secretariat is the United Nations Administrative Arm, and it is always led by the Secretary General. At present, the Secretary General of United Nations is Antonio Guterres. So, and he had been there in the past 8 years, which his term will end by December 31 this year. So what do they call it? The administrative arm of United Nations, and they carry the day-to-day work, mandated by the General Assembly and other organs. So they are, how do I call it? In administrative cadre, you say, my boss. The General Assembly is their boss, and the General Assembly has a president that coordinates the day-to-day, works with the administrative head to manage the day-to-day affairs of the UN every year. At present, the president is a woman, and she's from Germany. So every July, there is an election for a new president of General Assembly. So, and every of the 93 country presidents are works along her office, because she is the main host to the UN General Assembly every year. So apart from the day-to-day working of the UN, the Secretary General Office, the Administrative Secretariat, has thousands of international civil servants who work globally. They could either be in New York, Geneva, Vienna, Paris, Germany. Germany is the seat of sustainable development goal. They could either be in Canada, where we have the UN university. So all these are interconnected under the UN Secretary General's office, the Administrative Council. Now, the sixth organ is the trusteeship council, which originally created to supervise the trust territories as they move forward self-government on independence. But since 1994, they completed its mission and the last territory gained independence. So any world territory, any territory across the world that are looking for independence comes to this trusteeship council to make their case, and then convince the trusteeship council that it is their mandate to enable the trustee council take it up to the president, to the secretary general, and to member states. So this is the organs of the United Nations. So now we have, as I've mentioned, the central platform for shaping the global development, coordinating humanitarian action, guiding international cooperation, and the UN as a principal organ. ECOSOC provides policy engine, dialogue forum, and coordination hub through which nations address the world's most urgent economic, social, and environmental challenges. Any questions so far? Do I continue? Thank you.
Yes.
I can't see any hand out. If there's any questions, so let me see what is on the group for. Okay, we'll come to the September issue later. Okay, thank you. Yes, Marva, are you there? You raised your hand. Can you come up?
Yes, hello. You had mentioned some dates of important meetings. Will you be sharing a calendar, or is there a resource where we're going to understand what we're supposed to be attending and the procedures for requesting?
Yeah, the September period is always the seat of the UN General Assembly general debate. Usually, the official dates are released after July, because July is the month of election for the next president of General Assembly. And it's only when the president is appointed that he or she will be able to release the date for the General Assembly and transmit it accordingly. So when it is transmitted, I will share it. Now that I have your emails, I will share it across. It's really a very restricted moment because of security for the president and people coming to the UN. So you have to be registered in order to attend that General Assembly section. Is that clear?
That's helpful. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Thank you. So any other question, any other concern? Everything about my is so much okay, so now I know that Ambassador Diane has been able to give you a lot on about the ECOSOC, but I want to give you the practical applications of ECOSOC as NGOs in the as NGOs that is working on the agenda of the United Nations. So if you look at ECOSOC at a glance, I've told you what is ECOSOC. Now the ECOSOC structure is what we are going to look at now. What is the ECOSOC structure? The ECOSOC structure, as you all define, provides engine policy and dialogue forum in order to coordinate it's a coordination hub for everything about the UN, the ECOSOC. So we need to understand the working of the ECOSOC in terms of what they do in order to address the mission of United Nations in agreement or in alliance with the NGOs, civil societies, and individuals. So before the United Nations existed, the world had already attempted one major experiment in global cooperation. One of them was the League of Nations, which was in 1919 to 1946. So this was created after World War I and aimed to prevent future wars. So the League of Nations from 1919 to 1946. No, it lacked universal membership and enforced power. One of the challenges was this particular League of Nations lacked universal membership, and it also failed to stop aggression, leading to World War II. So as a result of this, the League, the collapse of the League made it clear that the world needed a stronger, more inclusive, and more effective international organization. So in 1945, when the United Nations was born, the UN was created in aftermath of the World War II, the deadliest conflict in human history. We all know that. Some of us who know history know that. So the global leaders at that time recognized that peace could not be sustained without a permanent system of dialogue, cooperation, and collective security. And then the discussion to have a unifying voice came up in 1945. So in August 1941, there was this Atlantic Charter which Roosevelt and Churchill outlined principles for a peaceful world. So the Roosevelt and Churchill were the first people to outline principles for a peaceful world in August 1941. And in January 1942, 26 nations signed the declaration by United Nations. And in April to June 1945, there was the San Francisco Conference draft that drafted the UN Charter. And then in June 26, 1945, the Charter was signed by 51 countries. And October 24, 1945, the UN officially comes into existence. So I just gave you the milestone of the birth of the UN. So in 2024 in 1945 of October 24 was the actual birth of United Nations. So the UN Charter established 4 core purposes. Of course, I've mentioned they maintain international peace and security. They promote friendly relations among member states. They achieve international cooperation in solving global problems. And they promote human rights and fundamental principles. So this principle remain the backbone on the work of United Nations. So, but from each original 51 members, remember it was 51 members that signed the agreement in 1945, and now it has grown to 193 countries. So find out from your country when they joined the United Nations. And then their agenda was to reflect the colonization of Africa, Asia, and the Caribbeans. They also wanted to end the apartheid and the breakup of the Soviet Union and Yugoslavia. They also took up the stand on the emergence of new independent states. These were the founding resolutions that brought in the United Nations in 1945. So, and since then, over the time, the United Nations has broadened significantly. Of course, we all know about peace and security. We have peacekeeping missions, mediation and conflict resolution, counter-terrorism framework were established, one of their success stories. We also know about human rights, where Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Human Rights Council, and international treaty and monitoring bodies were also inclusive. Then we also know about Millennium Development Goal, which was in 2000 to 2015, and then the present Sustainable Development Goal 2015 to end in 2030, and then the UN Development System Reform. So we also know about humanitarian action, talking about the refugee protection, disaster response, and global health emergency. Of course, we talk about the climate and the environmental situations, where this supports the Paris Agreement and climate adaptation and resilience. So the UN has evolved from a peacekeeping body into a multi-dimensional global governance system, from a peacekeeping body into a multi-dimensional global governance system. So the UN today, what does it tell us, the United Nations today? It gives us the principal organ of General Assembly, Security Council, ECOSOC, the International Criminal Justice, and the Secretariat. Now, it also brought in the specialized agencies like the World Health Organization, UNESCO, the Food and Agriculture Organization, International Labour Organization, IMF, the World Bank. And also it brought out the programs and funds, funding entity like the UNICEF, the UNDP, the UN Women, and the United Nations Human Rights Commission. It also brought in the regional commissions. Today we have regional entities. Everything we do is regionalized. And also expert bodies and functional commissions. These are the complex ecosystem of the United Nations that brought in. So together they address issues ranging from global health to economic development, climate change, gender equality, and humanitarian crisis. Are we on? Any question? Hello?
No questions.
No questions.
Thank you. So, why do we understand the UN, why the understanding of United Nations evolution matters? It is very important to us as ECOSOC practitioners because we need to understand the UN's origin and evolution. That is essential because ECOSOC mandate is rooted on the United Nations Charter. It is not an entity of its own. Everything about ECOSOC revolves around the United Nations Charter. Everything about ECOSOC plays role on sustainable development goals. It also works for interconnectedness with other UN agencies. When you come to United Nations, you see that ECOSOC aligns with Commission on Social Development, Commission on Status of Women, Commission on Population and Development, Commission of Indigenous Peoples Forum, Commission of that, Commission of that, Commission on Human Rights. All these are under ECOSOC. So the effective engagement requires the understanding of the broader system, and that is what we are trying to do for us all today. we need to get to understanding of the operation of the ECOSOC system. So the historical foundation helps us to appreciate why ECOSOC exists, how it functions, and how it contributes to global governance. It also helps us to map out the UN system. We need to understand, like for instance, when we finish this course, you go back to yourself, your organization, your company or your business, and be able to map out an addendum or an agenda of what you tend to do with your organization. Just as I've put in ECOSOC about lands, what is your organization? What does it look like at a glance? What is your structure? Why does it matter? And then what kind of ECOSOC, what type of UN areas do you want to align your mission? Do you want to align it on the SDGs, High Level Forum, UN Women, UNICEF, World Health Organization, UNESCO? Which aspect do you want to align the mission of your organization? And then what are the strategic pillars you want to address your organization with? Of course, the high-level forum, political forum, talks about the SDGs, the 17 SDGs. Which of the SDGs do you align your organization and your mission towards? So this is about the United Nations at a glance. So when we come to United ECOSOC and the SDGs, in the first instance, the SDGs came up in 2015 to proceed the Millennium Development Goals, which was enacted by the then Secretary General in year 2000. The Millennium Development Goals, it had 8 goals. And then in which was a 15-year mandate to see how it can help to redefine humanity. And after the 15 years, they came up with the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, these Sustainable Development Goals, the UN serve as a global meeting place where country, of course, we all know that UN serves as where country can negotiate, debate, build consensus, address shared challenges. But the Sustainable Development Goal came up as a result to still continue to provide solution to humanity. Some of you who have visited the United Nations, if you come inside the compound, by your left, there is a big rock. It's a broken wall. It's broken. That is by the left. Immediately after the security check, you come inside the UN. By your left side is a broken wall. That broken wall is the reason why the United Nations exists today. Because all their deliberation, discussion is how to close the broken world. And if in the long run the broken world is closed, then there will be no United Nations. So as it is now, every of their discussion is centered about what do we do to help close the broken world for people across the world to live in a better world. So the United Nations has 5 core goals. 1, they have to work to prevent wars. Secondly, they have to work to promote international cooperation. 3rd, they have to uphold human rights. 4th, they have to foster social and economic development. And finally, they have to provide a platform for dialogue among nations. The United Nations is not a dictator. Everything is dialogue. You don't stand that I am the pillar, I am a member, I am from United States, therefore my law stands. No, everything is dialogued. And at the end of it all, there will be an overriding decision. And once its decision is overruled, then it becomes a resolution that will be transmitted to the office of the Secretary General, who will now transmit it to the office of President of General Assembly for for the adoption as a resolution of the United Nations. So we look at the structure of ECOSOC. What is the structure of ECOSOC? The structure of ECOSOC, mandate and structure of ECOSOC. The ECOSOC has 54 member states, as I said, 14 African states, 11 Asia Pacific states, 6 Eastern European states, and 10 Latin American Caribbean states, and 13 Western European and other states, making it a total of 54. Now, the election, they held annually every year. Right now, the Ambassador of Nepal is the president of ECOSOC. After July, another country will become the president. So they are nominated by regional groups. It's not by member state. It's regional groups that elect the election. And of course, the Nepal, I think it's from Asia Pacific. So right now, is Asia Pacific is the president. So it's not going to be the next president. There's nothing like a second tenure. Once you do your 1 year, another person comes in. So, and it's a simple majority vote by the 54 countries. And then terms are moved to ensure continuity. The terms of their service, the terms of the election, the terms of their mandate ensure continuity. So the Bureau of ECOSOC has the president, which is one person, 4 vice presidents, which can come from the different regions of the world. Their role is to set agendas, facilitate negotiation, coordinate with member states and UN member bodies, and ensure balanced regional representations. So the leadership, of course, we all know, as I said, is elected annually, and they represent ECOSOC at major UN events. The president must be there at major UN events. If the president is not there, any of the vice will be there. So what I was trying to say is that ECOSOC must be present at any of the UN major events. So the role of the president is to support coordination, lead thematic agenda, and facilitate intergovernmental process. That is the role of the vice president of ECOSOC. So the ECOSOC annual cycle, they operate through a structural circle within the year. And this structural circle include coordination segment. They coordinate different segments, commissions, resolution institutions that are approved that are approved by the UN and put under the body, the platform of ECOSOC. Take, for instance, the UN Day for Education, which is every January 24, the Commission on Social Development, which is every February, the UN Harmony Week, which is every first week of February, the UN Commission on Social Development every March, the women section, the UN Commission on People of Indigenous Committee, which is April, May, the UN Commission on Population Development every April, the UN Youth ECOSOC Youth Forum every April, and the UN Science Union Day for Science, for Culture and Development every May 21. All these and so many, the UN high-level forums under ECOSOC and the high level and the Office of the President of General Assembly. So these are the segments that bring the Youth Forum. Of course, I just mentioned the ECOSOC Youth Forum, which is every April, and the International Day of Youth, which is every August. Financing for development, of course, is under the responsibility of ECOSOC, the high level point, the high level segments. The high level segment can come with people's political forum, permanent people's forum. Every other high level segment that they deem necessary will be brought in under this, and it's held every year. So ECOSOC agenda is shaped by global development priorities. They have to shape it. Then they also is also shaped by SDG progress. For instance, every year through the high level political forum, every nation, like in July this year, there will be 10 days high level political forum. Member states gather to give report so far on what they do on specified SDGs. Every year they select SDGs. This year they are doing on 5 SDGs. SDG 6, SDG, I think 8 or 9, 11, 16 and 17. I'm not very sure of all those SDGs, but it's 5 SDGs. So they see nations come to review their performances, their activities, what they've done so far. And that review is giving us the breakdown scope that non-profit organization, philanthropic organization, private establishment, and businesses can lean to also review what they are doing in terms of their mission with respect to these SDGs. So agenda setting ensures coherence across the UN development system. So what are the ECOSOC subsidiary bodies? We have, of course, I mentioned the functional commissions as the Commission on Social Development, Commission on Women, Commission on Statistical Commission. All these are functional bodies. Commission on Development and Population, some Indigenous People Forum. These are commissions under ECOSOC that is held every year. So it depends on your organization, their mission, and where you want to fall into. Then we have the expert bodies. We have the regional commission. We have the specialized agencies such as UNESCO, UNICEF, World Health, IMF, FAO, ILO. These are specialized agencies. And then we have the UN funds and programs. These are on what ECOSOC oversees. And each of these subsidiary bodies are components of member states. Each of them are components of member states, but the overseeing body at the UN is the ECOSOC. So, and this makes ECOSOC the hub of United Nations development architecture. Is the hub, the main, how do I call it? The operating weapon of the United Nations, because every of these agencies are coming under them, and they head them in order to come out with the agenda or resolution or issue that can be transmitted to the Office of Secretary General for discussion. And all this thing has to be ready before the General Assembly each year. So now that's about the ECOSOC structure, and then we look at the I think the core mandates. Of course, I mentioned the core mandate per se. The core mandate is that the ECOSOC is the hub of the United Nations, is the hub, and everything about ECOSOC is taken under the principal body of the United Nations, and they serve as the hub of whatever is done at United Nations. I just stop working. That there. So with all this said, we have this full understanding about ECOSOC And then one of the things we have to know that ECOSOC is a global policy platform, of the United Nations, and it convenes governments, diplomats, experts, and civil society. And one of the things they do, one of their mission is to debate on global issues. They also build consensus and develop policy recommendations as well as coordinate international responses under the global policy platform. So the ECOSOC is the UN's primary venue for shaping global development priorities and ensuring all nations work collaboratively rather than in isolation. So no matter the differences each country have with one another, at the United Nations, you must work in collaboration because you look at your overriding agenda, which is humanity, the global community. So if I am fighting Dr. Aaron, and then in the room, myself and Dr. Arun are meeting in the room to discuss on world conflict, the war in Ukraine and Russia. Our content is the people, the issues, the war going on, not the fight between me and him. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the decision, whatever, I'm not going to hate the decision to end the war in Russia and Ukraine because Dr. Aaron was in the room. And he's not going to do the same because I'm in the room, just because we are fighting. What we are doing, or whether my country is fighting with his country, is personal. It has nothing to do. So at any point in time, there is a consensus decision, no matter the differences within the United Nations. And it's the function of ECOSOC to ensure that. So the ECOSOC is the engine of sustainable development. Any question on that? So they see the implementation, of course, we mentioned the 2030 agenda for sustainable development. And I did mention that we have the 17 sustainable development goals that ensure that countries report progressively. Every July, the countries will come to report, submit their report to the office of ECOSOC on what their country have been doing each year on these sustainable development goals. And it's also a platform for the engine for UN agencies to coordinate their work. The UN agencies are UNESCO, UNICEF, UNDP, United Nations Environmental Program, United Nations Narcotics, United Nations Human Rights, FAO, ILO, IMF, World Bank, these are United Nations agencies. So there's also this for global development is very important because it is the mandate of whatever they're doing to ensure success in global development. And no nation or community is left behind. Nobody is left behind. So if any nation is left behind, they have to discuss at that ECOSOC level the challenges, the issues, and what's going on with the nation. The nation will be contacted. Of course, these nations have representatives at the UN, and they'll have 6 committees who work together in order to ensure all these things are in place. The Humanitarian Coordination Hub, what is their responsibility? They do coordinations, they do resource mobilization, whatever, they look for experts from across the world on pertinent issues to bring to the UN to share their expert opinions about a particular issue that can lead to solution. They also provide policy guidance and international cooperation. So ECOSOC as the Center for Social and Economic Governance, they help to shape global policies that influence economic stability, social protection, human rights, employment, education, health system, gender equality, and youth empowerment. Now, ECOSOC as the bridge between nation and civil societies. Under the civil society, we have faith-based organizations, we have community groups, NGOs, civil societies, we have youth networks, we have advocacy coalition, we have academic institutions, we have philanthropies, we have businesses that are under this. And these are, they participate directly in the UN process. So ECOSOC makes the gateway for civil society participation at the global level. And that is why in this ECOSOC office, they grant consultative status to NGOs, to businesses. They also grant general status, and also roster. They have three principal status: special consultative status, general status, and then roster. All these are graduation. For instance, you start from special consultative status. You come out with an idea. We come out with initiative, with an agenda or a campaign. And a nation can buy it over, can, align with you, any member state, and develop it to be a resolution for the UN. And then if this happens, now the nation can help you to obtain a general status. So you see the issue about you help you to become a general status within the UN. Now, but when you as an NGO or a mission or philanthropy agency or whatever, as a consultative status, you have your benefits. First of all, you're entitled access into United Nations, whether in New York, Geneva, or Vienna. You're also entitled to participate at UN events, wherever you are invited. But there is a process you must apply to get these approvals, provided that you do the application in the right standard, especially in UN language. So when you are approved, you have your mandate to receive your status, and then you have your 21 passes every year, 21 UN entry passes, 7 for New York, 7 for Geneva, and 7 for Vienna every year. And it gives you leverage to even bring people. And at every commission event, there are some commissions that ask you to invite 5 people of your organization, or invite 10 people, or invite 20 people of your organization to attend the event. There are also opportunities for you to do side events or parallel events during the UN sections. So you have, and very importantly, is an opportunity for global networking. Because if your organization is from India, and then you come to the UN, you have the opportunity to meet organizations from Nigeria, from US, from Caribbean, from Europe, from Ghana, from South Africa, and then you link up to see how you can partner. It's a platform for global networking when you attend some of these events at the UN. And then UN will give you the leverage to attend, because you will be invited to sign up and attend. And because you have access, you can attend even government sections. You attend their events. So why does NGO ECOSOC matter to me and you? Of course, I said is the primary global arena where we can present community realities. They see NGOs as grassroots partners. So through you, they have an idea what is happening in the community of India, community of Nigeria, community of Ghana, and all the rest of them. These are what you now bring to table and discuss with some of these countries about this, and they see how they can align what they are doing to suit you, to information you brought to them. You also have the platform to speak at the UN. Levels like Commission on Social Development, Commission on Status of Women, Commission of Population, you'll be given opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. And that gives you leverage to speak on what you are doing in your community on the UN agenda. Mind you that whatever you are doing must be United Nations related. It must be United Nations related before you can be able to speak on it at the United Nations. So you also engage with diplomatic and policy makers at the UN. You have the leverage to engage with ambassadors, diplomats, advocacy. You learn about the diplomacy, the advocacy processes. How do you advocate? How do you take your issue to one country or the other? And these are the others. And also, you also participate in sustainable development goal processes at like the high level political forum, which is coming up in July, 10 days, you have the leverage to come and participate and learn about what is going on. You also influence global humanitarian and development agendas. So ECOSOC is where local voices meet with global system. You meet with the global system, making it essential for your organization to be the work of your organization to make known at the global level. So this is what we can say about the ECOSOC and all the rest of them. So the fact remains that ECOSOC system has a lot to do with me and you. And what I always tell people is that once you have opportunity, like when you have the pass to attend, make out time to attend the event because it will serve you much better to learn on the system instead of, the training gives you the underlying framework, the picture of what ECOSOC is. So that when you start to get involved, you begin to say, oh, Dr. Diana told you this. Oh, is it what he said? Oh, Professor that told you, oh, is it what he said? So you begin to understand the system more. But what is more important is that if you want to get involved with United Nations, what you need to do is go back to the mission of your organization, the mission of your agency, your commission, or your business. What do you want to do in line in terms of the United Nations agenda? The 17 Sustainable Goals, which is the bedrock of any interest, has a lot. There is no mission that is not correlated. All you need to do is get someone who can help you define your organization in terms of any of the SDGs, and then you drive it. You take it to the community. Everything about United Nations, everything about humanity is included there. And as I told you, the UN SDG work with 5 Ps. People, planet. Planet has to do with climate change, environment, water, everything that has to do with the environment. Community, rural community, life in the sea, life above the water, everything that happens to you in the community is there on the planet. Then we talk about prosperity, progress. How do you have to help people to progress, to come off from their poverty-stricken situation and become better? You talk about peace. There is wars across the world. Even war from the bedroom is there. War from the family is there. There is so much war. What do you do? Today we have United Nations Day for families, United Nations Day for parents, United Nations Day for the girl child, Universal Children's Day. Everything has to be there. Women's International Day. Everything has to be there. It depends on the purpose and the mission of your organization. And of course, we talk about partnership. That is where you need the global cooperation to see who aligns with you. How do you partner with one country in India, one country in Asia, one country in Caribbean, Europe, Africa, to be able to achieve the integrative approach of what you are doing in your organization. So it's all about the international cooperation, and the UN has given us the platform to achieve this purpose to the glory of human development, So ECOSOC mandate is vast and is strategic and foundational. It drives global development, coordinates humanitarian action, advances human dignity, and ensures accountability across the UN system. Our understanding of ECOSOC mandate is essential in everything we do to help us effective engagement, credible advocacy, and alignment with the global mission that we need to do in terms of our organizations. So I thank you, and I want to know if there's any question. Yeah, so any question, any clarification, did you need more? Are you clear with your understanding?
Good day,
Thank you.
Ambassador Adajino, Professor. So for me, you said something about having your organization to align with the United Nations SDGs. So I work in a sport firm. We're into sports, but yes, we have fitness events we do every year. So we're trying to see how we can make it be about women and underserved people in the country. So that means we're going to be having people coming to do blood tests, checking for HIV, checking for eye tests, and basically we just want to make it all encompassing and then make it to align with the SDGs. So is this something that aligns with the SDGs, or we still need to tweak it more to be parallel with what you guys are doing at the UN?
This is a very interesting project you are doing. At the UN, we have the Office of HIV/AIDS. We have the Office of Secretary General on Sports. Everything is included at the UN. So all you need to do, if you approach me with your mission, we can digress it more to see which part of SDG do you fit in, and then which part of the UN issue can you align your work with. It can meet every aspect of it. In fact, from what you just told me, there is SDG 3, there is SDG 4, there is SDG 5. You mentioned women and children. There is SDG what is it called? 10, a 10 of inequality. There is SDG 17, there is SDG 12, and as we are talking, I have about 7 SDGs that can align with your organization. So if you have time, we talk, send me your vision, we'll be able to digress it to see how best you can redefine your organization mission, and then you drive it along the UN agenda if you want to get involved.
Thank you very much.
God bless you. Which part of, okay, no, I get you. Any other question? Mr. Cloudy, are you talking to me? I can't hear you. I see your mouth open and closed. Yes. Any other person that has question? Or are we? Yes, Marva. Yes, my love. Can you come out with your question?
Yes, I'm curious, either from yourself or from Dr. Diana, what you are passionate about this year of your work here with the organization.
What we are passionate about this year with my organization?
Yeah, what you're
You know,
specifically working on. I'd be curious to know.
okay, well, what we are working on right now has to do with providing education, and like myself, I don't want to speak for Dr. Diane. I am driving initiative to the community in terms of rebranding the face of the younger generations. If you look at what's going on in social media and all the rest of them, you can agree with me that today's youth, the younger generation, they need significant impartation to address their future. If not, by the time you could say Jack Robinson, the future will be destroyed. So we are trying to take the UN to the community by using the younger generation as a target group and also exposing them to the SDGs. In fact, on a week today, I'm having a program for youth in my community, and that has to include with innovation, the 4 E's of SDG: education, entrepreneur, empowerment, and which other one? The 4E, the last one. So we are trying to get them on board. One, give them because one of the things you should understand that knowledge is an instrument for human development. If I have only 10 knowledge in my head, I can only act within 10. But if I have 1,000 knowledge within my intellectual ability, I can do wonders. So what we're trying to do is to give them the platform to expand their item bank, the knowledge bank, and that will help them to grow. When you ask some of them, they said, I'm a graduate, I don't have job. So your next job is to do Yahoo Yahoo, or to do people, or to steal, or to kill. If I'm a graduate, I should be able to use my knowledge to do something. I must not wait to be employed by government. So these are the kind of things we are trying to impart into their head, because the future is in their hands. And if nothing is done, think about when you were growing up, how your parents were working on you. The parents of the children between 18 and 38 years don't have no longer the time. So it's only, in fact, they don't know that they don't have the time, they don't know, because you can only give what you know. So the fact remains that if we civil societies organization bring in some of these things to the grassroots, it will help them to expand their intellectual ability, build their knowledge bank, and increase their brain bank with word. So when their brain bank is increased, they will know that, in education, I can organize youth in the community to teach them sports. I can use the rich people in my town to get them to encourage these youth sports, just as Samuel was just asking. So there are a lot of things to do. It's not just carrying gun or doing prostitution or being single mothers at an early age is the solution. Rather, you are increasing the number of poverty and hunger in the community. So that's what we are trying to do. So I don't know, Dr. Diane, are you there to share your thoughts?
Yes, I am. Thank you. That's a great question. A lot of my work this year is centered around 5 development priorities that define the most outstanding leaders in 2026. So I'll just quickly name them. So the first one is human-centered leadership and emotional intelligence. The second one is AI judgment and ethical reasoning. The third is coaching style leadership and decision-making agility. The fourth one is continuous upskilling and a learning culture. The fifth is human sustainability, looking at burnout, well-being, and resilience. So that's the kind of work that I do. And that predominantly is in training programs, education. And so being part of the WOMI ambassadors to the United Nations under ECOSOC works very nicely for me, and working in collaboration as well keeps me grounded at what is happening at a global level. At the end of the day, these times and these seasons require us to lead in a very different way. We will have to rethink the way we have always done things. We're going to have to grow at a very fast pace if we are going to be effective by 2030 and 2035. Those are like timelines that are meaningful. And so being able to be part of leaders at this level that are passionate about teaching and training and developing leaders that are there now and those that are coming up is so important in whatever place you find yourself in. This year, the Talent LMS report has already provided us with 3 growth mindset shifts that need to be made. So what we're doing here in training, coaching, mentorship is really key, because coaching and mentorship is now being seen as a performance metric. And so even at the United Nations level, how are we developing ourselves? How are we being part of that voice that is leading into how policies, governance is being developed? So not shying away from being part of what is going on, because that is the way that we continue to build ourselves and to ensure that we are leaving a mark that is going to impact not just our generations, but the next ones, because what they are going to ask us is, what did you do? We have to be able to provide a response. And we're in a time now where information is everywhere. So you cannot even lie about what you have done. They can quickly find it out in minutes. Okay. So being part of this type of work is really key. Also, it builds within you a heart of compassion and empathetic leadership, which is necessary. We're all living in a time that we have never seen before. I remember my mom talking like this. So it is very interesting to say the very same things. However, what is it that we are doing to continue to build? How are we continuing to serve at the community level, at the national level, at the global level? How are we lending our voices to meaningful work? What are we leaving behind? What are we building? These are necessary things to begin to act. What is the impact that we are making? So for the past 10, 15 years, we have seen this, the dialogue about developing yourself as a leader. And I think it has been well received. And now the next thing is, how is you being a leader? What is the necessary impact that you are making? Right? So leading the way that has been done before is not relevant right now. We're going to have to rethink. We're going to have to come back and renegotiate things. We're going to have to come back and listen in a different way. We're going to have to come back and look at how are we adopting? How are we renegotiating? And how are we communicating some of these resolutions that we are seeing coming up? And how are we willing to learn? Most of it is going to be us being humble enough, truthful enough to say that we have done this wrong for a long time. And now it is time to look at it in a different way. And so being able to be part of this work and these types of dialogue is really a blessing. I don't think there is another place that I would be able to get to do this. Maybe there is, but for now, this is the most meaningful work that I get to do, that I get to be a part of, that I get to be invited to. I don't necessarily come knowing everything, but I do come into the room knowing that I carry the wisdom of the expertise. I am blessed to be here. I am continuing to grow and know what I am designed for, what I am made for, and most importantly, what I am not made for. And so being very clear about where do you align is the most important thing that you can do, because from that point on, you begin to lend your effort, energy, your thinking to some of the best work and some of the best solutions that can come out of your time here on this planet. And so let me see if there's anything else that I can add to that note. And more than anything, it is making sure that you're also taking care of yourself. I think the well-being aspect is really necessary. I think it is something that a lot of us are beginning to hear loud and clear. Burnout, well-being, resilience, and then being flexible to use this new advancements in technologies that we have not seen before, and using them to expand our thinking, not to replace it, because at the end of the day, humanity cannot be replaced. And we are the ones that bring that meaningful dialogue to most of the things, policy, governance-wise, that need to be done. I think that we are still very much necessary, relevant, but we have to be very clear about where we find alignment and how we want to continue to expand and extend our work. Over to you, Your Excellency.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, thank you. Mava, does this solve your problem, your question or concerns? Are you okay?
That's not a question, it's motivation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Motivation and alignment. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
thank you.
And in the spirit of collaboration, it's helpful to understand what you're passionate about, so we can collaborate with you. So appreciate the
You're welcome
thoughtfulness
anytime,
answer.
any day. I personally believe in the feast, feast when the fingers come together, they become a feast and you can't separate them. So that's my motivation. So whenever you want any area of collaboration, just get to me. We will agree. And which state are you? Where are you coming from?
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, I just passed Atlanta this morning. I drove past Atlanta this morning from Florida. So let's know what you want us to do and your area of interest, and we can blend it to suit your purpose. All right. Thank you. Any other person that has concerns? Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I am
Thank you.
excited that we are all on the same page. Who's talking?
I just want to say that this was extremely inspiring and that I'm honored. And the words that you shared today are really, really filling, I think, a lot of the people in this Zoom chat with hope for a better planet and understanding our purpose, our alignment, and why we're here. It's, you know, this is a new chapter and a new opportunity for me, and I'm looking forward to being able to contribute and jump in wherever you want to put me. So thank you.
Thank you so much, and I'm very glad that the enthusiasm in all of you to be part of the training. This is what we do from time to time. In fact, in September, first week of September, we are having another training on SDG for NGOs. So if you would like to attend this training, this is going to supersede the high-level political forum, which is coming on from the first 10 days of July. And we are having this again is a executive education on SDG reviews for NGOs. So that will be on, I think it's September. What date in September? The first Saturday in September. So if you're interested, email me that you're interested and we'll send you the link to sign up. But it has to do with NGO accountability and SDG strategic partnership, the gender priority strategy, innovation and field practice, and of course, certificate. And I want to let you know that this program is in a program under the SAICA International University, and all your certificates is from the university. This executive course is not a conference, it's not a seminar, it's an executive certificate that a degree, and you include it in your resume, in your biography, in your CV. This kind of education was done in all. So it's very important that you understand that the SAICA International University will have your certificate on this course from this university. And it's not a conference for you to throw it away, but it's one of your qualifications, executive education certificate, on this, on ECOSOC something, that as you were told. So you have the privilege to increase your knowledge base on this information at all the time. And if you want to join on this one, because the 2030 is ending in less than 4 years. We are in 2026, and you have less than 4 years to end the 15 years of the SDGs. So the UN is calling for more aggressive initiative to ensure that SDG does not fail. So if you want to review your organization mandate on the 17 SDGs, be part of this course to enable you understand where you have erred and where you need to improve for the next 3 years. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's no other question. I need someone to close us on this meeting. I need someone to do the closing. I think I saw, where is Solomon? Solomon, can you do the summary and closing? Solomon, are you there? Thank
Yeah.
you.
Good day or good evening, everyone. So yes, I've learned a lot today about the Economic and Social Committee, and I'm looking forward to throw my weight behind any projects you have to better achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. Yeah, like you said, it's time is running out, and we have to do many important things. We have to take a concerted approach in achieving the SDG in the 3 years we have, like building on what's already been done. And based on that, I want to really appreciate Professor Ambassador Adajuni, Her Excellency Dr. Diana Connolly, and every other participant here. It's been a wealth of knowledge that has been shared. And I'm looking forward to taking the course in September as well. So maybe you should sign me up for that as well. So it's been a great time. And the learnings I've gotten from here, I'm going to take it to my office, to my business, try to see how we can also partner with you on to make this, to do something meaningful, adding value to the lives of people, underserved population, the women in the community. I don't think a lot of people talk about this a lot, but there are a lot of men that are also being underserved now. I think we have a men crisis also coming up. So we also have to look in that direction as well. There are a lot of younger men that are not doing so much. She said something about, Professor Ada said something about 18 to 30 parents of that age. They're really not doing so much. So we have to look in the direction as well. I think that's something I love to champion, like for men, because there's a lot of things going on for women these days. So I think men are being left behind. So thank you very much for your time.
Yes.
And I appreciate everyone for coming, and it's been a great well of knowledge for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Solomon. Men are not left behind. It's the men that are leaving themselves behind. So men shouldn't leave themselves behind. Because we women, we are talking, and that is why we are not left behind on issues concerning us. I remember when we were talking about violence against women, a male ambassador at the UN raised the initiative on he for she, that men should be used to speak on violence against women. And it was being driven very magnificently across the world, So, but when the ambassador was transferred out of the UN, men kept it on hold. But people like us, like in my organization, we still have it today. Men who support women will give them an award on he for she award. In fact, we are planning one in August at Dallas. So we are still coming, but the men are leaving themselves behind. So don't leave yourself behind. Okay? I can see Mr. Kwabena. You are leaving yourself behind because I don't see you on camera. Come up, don't leave yourself behind. Exactly. So, Mr. Cloud, change your position, make your camera landscape. Mr. Kwabena, can you be on camera? And someone with good photo can please take us the last photo shot. Good.
I'm having a connection issue. I'm gonna give it a
Mr.
shot.
Cloud, can you be stable? You're not stable. Your face is up. Can you be stable, Mr. Cloud? Oh my God, he's not here.
Can y'all see me?
Good.
My
Good.
internet is not stable
Yeah,
when I'm on
please.
camera.
Yes,
Can you hear me?
change your camera to landscape so that we can see you well. Mr. Cloud, change your camera to landscape. We just need 1 second to have this photograph. Ambassador Diane, can you take this picture, please? Mr. Cloud, can you be stable? I can't see your face. We don't want to leave you behind. Hello? Okay, Ambassador, can you take, because I don't want Mr. Kwabena's network. It's all the way from Ghana. Good. Excellent. Did you take, Ambassador? All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
it's nice
All right,
having you
thank
all.
you.
You will receive your certificate in due course. And
Can you
please,
share the photo also?
sure,
Yeah.
we'll
Group photo?
share it on the group. Yes.
Oh,
Yes, thank you.
And,
Thank you.
and
drag
even
me
the
on LinkedIn.
video,
you.
the YouTube link will be shared on the group.
Mhm.
This picture will be on Citada website. So you
Oh.
have all. Thank you, Mava, for
Thank you. Goodbye.
your
Mm.
high-spirited power, and we need to work together. I would like to work together with each and every one of you. So get in
Sure.
touch with me. Send me email and we can communicate. Yes, Tina, how are you? I think you
Thank
are in Baltimore, right?
New York.
You're in New York?
Yeah, I am.
We're in New York.
I'm in Long Island, but my office is in Long Island and New York City. So I'm excited to come down. I've never been to Union. I was born
we
and
have
raised here. So,
we have events on June 27 at Long Island Smith. I think Smith
oh,
House.
really?
Yes. So send me
I'll get
email
in
and
touch with you. Sure.
get in touch so that you'll be there longer.
Okay.
I'm in
Great.
Yonkers. I'm in Yonkers.
Great. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. And thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thank you, Ambassador Diana, for your wonderful. The workbook and everything is on the website. Please review it. And if you have any concern on your mission of your organization to align with the UN agenda, please get in touch with me. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have
Thank
a
you.
Jagan,
blessed
Thank you all.
weekend.
thank you for
you.
joining.
Thank you. Okay.
And God be with you. Thank you. Mr. Kwabena, thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a good weekend.
And you too.
Weekend. Thank you.
A happy long holiday. Yes, Tony Curtis, how are you? Thank you.
I'm well.
Thank
I'm
you
doing
very
well.
much.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it. My
Thank
moms
you.
are here.
Oh my
So
God.
it's time for me to teach class, but we work supporting moms to make sure that they have safe birth. So they are arriving. So it's time for us to make sure nobody is lost when we go in
Oh
these
my God.
hospitals.
Thank
So
you so much. Yes,
thank
we have
you.
a lot of initiative for moms, of course, along the UN agenda. So they're not lost, okay?
No, we just got it expanded to North Carolina because our services aren't covered. But 30 years of practice, I've never lost a mama.
Oh my God.
So
Thank you
we
so
keep
much.
preventable loss, preventable. So they here now. So
All right.
I
Thank
gotta
you.
go.
And let's
Thank
keep
Thank
you.
you.
working. Thank you all. Yeah, Jagan, thank you for joining us.
Thank
And
you.
I'm glad you are
Thank you. It's
joining.
an excellent presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Are
I
you
will-
where are
I
you
would-
in India or where are you located?
I am from Toronto,
Okay, so where are you based now?
Canada.
Oh, Canada.
Canada.
Send me
So
email, let's talk. Or get in touch with me through
yeah.
Dr. Laurie.
Yeah. Thank you very much.